You know, school safety is a major concern for everyone, especially parents. And when we think about it, our minds often go to the big, obvious threats.
Right. But what about the everyday stuff, the things kids are using constantly?
Exactly. It's easy to overlook risks that are, well, kind of hiding in plain sight, even in places built for learning.
Mm-hmm. And our source for this deep dive, it actually touches on those concerns. It notes that even though manufacturers are trying to improve safety, the injury numbers related to products are actually going up each year.
Yeah, that's pretty stark, isn't it? So, our mission today is to take a deep dive into this specific list we found. It's from 10 Most Today, published March 4, 2020.
Okay.
It's called 10 Most Dangerous Products Found in School. And honestly, looking at the items and the numbers they list, well, some are genuinely surprising.
Yeah, it really makes you rethink what dangerous means in a school setting. This list gives us some pretty concrete numbers for like really common things.
Let's just jump right in then. Number one, the item our source list is causing the most injuries per year.
Okay, so according to this list, the top spot, and it's by a really big margin, is playground equipment.
Playgrounds.
They report an average of 60,008 injuries every single year just from playgrounds.
60,000. Wow. I mean, that is an incredibly high number. You picture kids running, climbing, pushing limits up high.
Yeah.
So falls happen, sure. But 60,000?
Mm.
That's massive.
It really speaks to the energy involved, right? And the heights. And an interesting detail from the source is that the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission data they cite, it indicates girls actually sustain more injuries than boys on playground equipment.
Huh. That detail about girls is unexpected. You might think stereotypically it'd be the other way around with risk-taking. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so playgrounds are number one by a mile. Let's look at some others. Maybe we can group things like things you might trip over.
That's a good way to think about it. So right after playgrounds, the list has two items high up that fit that description. Number two is carpets. Yep, carpets, with 26,758 injuries annually. The source basically says these are from tripping, slipping, or falling.
Carpets, really?
Yeah.
Nearly 27,000 injuries from carpets? That feels counterintuitive. How?
Well, it's probably not the carpet itself in isolation, right? It's the environment. Think about hundreds, maybe thousands of kids rushing through hallways, classrooms.
Right, not always watching where they're going.
Exactly. Carrying things, rushing between classes. The source just points to simple trips and slips. But when you have that much foot traffic, even a small wrinkle or just, clumsiness,
Leads to a fall and
Yeah.
multiplied across all schools.
the numbers add up really fast.
Yeah, okay, that scale makes more sense. It's the interaction, the environment. And right after carpets, number three on the list, also about moving through space.
Stairs.
Yes, stairs are number three. 24,482 injuries annually. And the list notes slipping down is common here.
And for both carpets and stairs, the source's recommendation is pretty similar. Kids need reminding. Be cautious, follow rules, take stairs slowly. They specifically mention fractured bones and head injuries for stairs.
Fractured bones and head injuries just from stairs.
Right.
Wow. That really underlines how even a simple fall can be serious. Again, picture the rush between classes on those stairwells.
Oh, absolutely. It just amplifies the risk, doesn't it?
Right.
Common hazards become major ones with high traffic and, well, distraction.
Right. Okay, let's shift gears. How about like structural things? Furniture inside the school. Number four on the list is doors.
Doors, listed with 13,402 injuries per year. And the source points out that many school doors, like the life safety or fire-rated ones, are really heavy.
Ah, yes. I can totally picture those. The really solid ones designed to slow fire. They often slam shut, too.
Precisely. That weight, maybe a strong closing mechanism, it creates major pinch points. The source just says basically protect kids' fingers. Keep them away from the frame, the hinges.
Ouch. Yeah. Simple but painful injuries, I imagine.
Squash fingers, trapped fingers, that sort of thing.
And number five.
Chairs and couches.
Oh, okay.
These account for 10,669 injuries annually, according to the list. They specifically mention kids rocking back on chairs or leaning on them weirdly,
Oh, yeah.
causing the furniture to break or just tip over.
Huh. That definitely brings back memories. Balancing on the back, two legs of a classroom chair. It's like a rite of passage, but apparently one with actual risk.
A very common behavior, yeah.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, it stresses the furniture, beyond what it's designed for, leads straight to falls, injuries. The source suggests teaching kids proper posture.
Right. Sit properly. Okay, now this is where I think it gets really interesting. Let's look at some of the smaller items, things you use with your hands, that have surprisingly high numbers.
These are the ones that might make you pause, yeah. Number 6 is pencils and pens.
Pencils and pens, how many?
5,786 injuries.
Every year.
Wait a minute. Okay, let's unpack this. Over 5,000 injuries from pencils and pens. How does that even happen? Like, what kind of injuries are we talking about?
Oh.
Well, the source doesn't go into super detail on injury types for everything, but for pencils and pens, they mention pokes and stabs.
Pokes and stabs. Okay.
Think about how often kids use them.
Constantly, right?
Gesturing with them, carrying them maybe carelessly in a pocket or backpack, or even just accidentally running into someone who's holding one pointy end out. It just highlights how incredibly common, seemingly harmless items, when used by millions of kids all the time, can add up through sheer volume of interaction.
That really does hammer home the point about stale, doesn't it? Wow. Okay. And number 10, way down at the bottom of the list, is scissors.
Scissors, yeah. 2,049 injuries annually, according to this source.
Over 2,000 injuries just from scissors still seems quite high for something we try to teach kids to be careful with.
It is another sharp object used frequently, especially in certain classes like art. Maybe not quite as constantly as pencils, but still.
Still a lot of opportunity for accidents.
Exactly. It's a lower number than pencils, but still pretty substantial when you think about it.
Okay, so we've hit the big structures, furniture, tiny tools, what's left in the middle there. Number 7 was fences.
Fences, yes. 3,318 injuries annually. The source notes this is often adventurous kids trying to climb them.
Yeah.
And the injuries come from, sharp edges, pointed tops. The recommendation is straightforward. Tell kids to stay off the fences.
Makes perfect sense. They aren't playground equipment. Kids explore, test boundaries, and fences are designed for containment, not climbing. The hazards are kind of built in if you misuse them.
Right. It's that risk-taking behavior meeting a static object.
Okay. Number 8.
Bicycles. Linked to 3,123 injuries per year.
Bicycles. So kids biking to school.
Seems so. The source acknowledges biking is good for the environment, but then, based purely on this injury number, they state it's not safe at all.
Whoa, that's a strong statement. Not safe at all.
Yeah. They strongly recommend proper gear helmets, reflective stuff, pads, lights for protection.
Okay, so that points to risks maybe outside the school grounds on the journey itself. Traffic, road conditions.
Probably. It involves external factors, not just the school environment, but it's tied to attending school. And the emphasis on safety gear is key.
Right, personal protective equipment. Got it. And finally, number 9.
Chemicals. Responsible for about 2,688 injuries each year. The source gives examples like cleaning products, paint, fertilizer.
Okay, so things used for maintenance, or maybe even in classrooms, like art supplies or science labs.
Could be. The source doesn't detail the injury types, but you can imagine skin irritation from cleaners, maybe breathing in fumes, possibly accidental ingestion, though hopefully that's rare. It's a broad category of potentially harmful stuff found on school grounds.
So looking back at this whole list from 10 Most Today, it's really diverse, isn't it?
It really is.
From massive things like playgrounds and stairs, down to the carpets we walk on, the doors, chairs, tiny things like pencils. Even fences, how kids get there on bikes, and cleaning supplies.
It truly spans the whole school environment, inside, outside. Big infrastructure, tiny objects used all the time.
And the numbers, I mean, even for things lower down, like scissors or chemicals, we're still talking thousands of injuries annually across schools, according to this source. That scale is just eye-opening.
It is. And what's fascinating here is seeing how these everyday items, these mundane things, when you put them in dynamic, sometimes chaotic environments with millions of kids,
Yeah.
they contribute to pretty significant injury statistics.
Yeah.
If you connect this back to the bigger picture, it kind of reinforces that safety isn't just avoiding the obviously super dangerous things. It's also about mindful interaction with everything around us. And it raises that important question, doesn't it? Considering the source often recommends caution, following rules.
Yeah.
How much of this is unavoidable product flaws versus, well, behavior or supervision?
That's a really critical distinction the list sort of implicitly brings up. It's not just the objects themselves, maybe, but how they're used and the environment they're in.
Exactly. The data shows where injuries happen, and the source's recommendations often point towards behavioral ways to prevent them.
So, this deep dive took us through the 10 most dangerous products found in school list from 10 Most Today, from back in 2020. We've looked specifically at the items they identified and the annual injury numbers they provided. We've really stuck just to the details presented in that source.
Right. It gives us one specific snapshot, a perspective on school-related product injuries based on their data compilation at that time.
So here's something to think about based on what we've discussed from this source. Given the sheer volume of injuries from such common objects, carpets, chairs, even pencils, how much of school safety is really about the products themselves, their inherent design, versus the behaviors of the people, the students using them every day, something to chew on?